The alchemist's workshop hums with stale air and ozone. A faint scuttling draws your eye to a shadowed corner. From behind aged tomes waddles a grotesque 2-foot-tall figure. Its clay-colored skin appears stitched, its limbs thick and ending in crude claws. An overlarge head with mismatched glassy eyes darts nervously, a perpetual toothless grimace on its face. It moves with an awkward, pitiful gait, a tiny, unsettling sentinel in the workshop. This is a homunculus.
Welcome to another Monster Mastery episode of the It's a Mimic podcast, where you never know what you're going to get.
Hello, I'm Terry, and with me are Kyle and Adam, and this episode is called Classify, Codify, and Qualify the Vivified Homunculi.
This episode covers everything about the 5.5 homunculus and the changes from the 5th edition material.
How familiar are you guys with these creatures before we started prepping for this episode? Like, have you seen them in a campaign before?
I've never seen them, and as I was researching homunculi, I didn't understand how I'd never heard of these before. Like, they should be everywhere, in every dungeon. I love them.
I mean, I don't think I've seen them in a campaign from a dungeon master. I've seen them from players.
What do you mean? Like, as a familiar?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's that spell, right? Like, create homunculus.
Is that still a spell in 5th ed? Or is that the 3.5 thing?
No, I'm pretty sure it was in 5.5. Because they had rules around Tashes about homunculi, too.
I feel like you should be able to do that.
I feel like it too, but now I'm sitting here going, have I
mean,
ever
if you can get a
seen
familiar,
that
why can't you
spell?
get a homunculus? I mean, I think it is a pretty high-level spell. I'm trying to look it up right now as we speak.
Because I've always just had them in little workshops and hiding out in abandoned, ruins and whatnot. And I have gifted them to players as little pets. Dave's character currently has one. He named it Fwit. And because he's playing a fairy scout, Fwit has little wings and it fwits around with him. And so he flies up and his homunculus flies up and they go scouting together. It's been purely for flavor. I don't think Fwit has ever been in a combat, but it's been cute and fun, right?
It's something to play with, right? It's like, this is a game, give them something to play with, and you don't know what they'll do. They might kill it, they might love it forever, they might dress it up in outfits, they might be mean to it, but it's something to play with.
Okay, so I looked it up. It's called Create Homunculus, and it's a 6th level spell from Xanathar's.
Okay, that's why I didn't recognize it, because I was thinking about the PHP, the new PHP, because I've been up and down that so many times. And now I'm looking to see if it's in that one, and it is not, which is strange. Strange that it made it into the new monster manual, but
and then you can also get it for the Artificer in Tatchas.
Ah, there you go. That makes a lot of sense.
It feels like, and I'm not familiar with the spell, but it feels like it should be. It feels very core D&D, like it should be in one of the, in the player's handbook, the new player's handbook.
It really does, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's talk about homunculi then. So homunculi are artificial creatures that are created through arcane rituals, typically by wizards or other spellcasters. They serve as extensions of their creators. They will act as messengers or spies or guardians. Their creation usually involves the use of a small amount of the creator's own blood, binding the creature to the creator's will. They are extensions of their creative senses and can relay what they see and hear back to them. They're small, often winged creatures with a vaguely humanoid or bestial form. They're often described as having grotesque or certainly unsettling appearances, reflecting the unnatural nature of their creation. They can vary in appearance depending on the creator and the ritual that was used. Thematically, I'm thinking arcane experimentation here. It feels strange that they embody the pursuit of magical knowledge and the potential of also the dangers of tampering with life. It is a creation, and I'd maybe focus on the sort of the grotesque side, and ultimately the servitude and control. They are created purely to act as a servant to their creator. That's their sole purpose. And maybe there's an ethical thing to play with there. Environments, you're going to find them in wizards' laboratories and towers. arcane libraries and academies. Like if you're going to Candlekeep, I throw one in there just for fun. Obviously in dungeons and ruins and that kind of thing. You can put them anywhere really if you want to force it into a campaign, but I like to be on the nose a lot. So I would put it in the place you expect to find it, and then it's easy to play with. If they're going to have treasure, it's just going to be probably messages or scrolls. Maybe they would be carrying vials or components for spells. I like the idea of them having a backup component pouch on their back, so that even if the wizard gets pickpocketed or loses their component pouch, the homunculus has a backup ready to go with whatever. I'm just throwing things at you here. For their mannerisms, how they're going to act, they're typically silent and sort of efficient and focused in carrying out their creator's orders. They're going to be maybe not jerky and unnatural. I wrote that down, but I don't think that's right. It's more that they're not going to act as you expect them to. They're probably not going to be cute. They're just going to be weird in how they move around. For creatures that you might find them with, wizards and other spellcasters for sure. I don't mind being on the nose with that. Possibly around other magical constructs, other creations from the spellcaster as well, and then used as a sort of as a sort of familiar. If you do end up killing them and you are looting them, you're going to find probably spell components on there, notes, and just other little bits of research. They could carry clues for things, even if they don't intend it to be a clue. But yeah, just if you're going to loot a creature, try and put things in there that are really on the nose, so there's things to play with. So little small magical items, maybe, or vials, or other weird things. You should never be looting a homunculus and there's nothing to play with, really. And that's the homunculus. They're just small, little, kind of ugly cute. Is ugly cute a thing?
Yeah.
God,
Yeah,
I
I think
hope
ugly
so.
cute is definitely a thing. It's like those really snaggletooth dogs.
I
Right?
don't.
They're like so ugly, they're cute.
I don't like them.
No, Terry prefers
I've tried to
traditional
like
beauty.
them.
Yeah.
I tried
Yeah.
to like them, and I don't like them.
It's funny because I love that when it came to the mannerisms, you were like a little bit, weird and off-putting, and you've really like latched onto that. And ours acts like a curious little squirrel in our campaign that everyone just loves to bits. It is all of the cute of a goblin and the size of a I think they're squirrel-sized actually in in 5.5. So like it's funny. I think every table is going to treat them a little bit differently. It's going to depend on what they're trying to get out of it. It never occurred to me to make it a weird arcane golem type thing, even though like they're made from clay and their masters, like their owner's blood, right? They're barely like sentient. They've got I'm spoiler, like they've got these mental stats, but like they're not that willful, I would say. Do you know what I mean? Like they feel like they should be just tied to the whim of the wizard or artificer that made them.
Well, I'm also just thinking, if they're created, like, is every creation 100% perfect? Like, what are the early versions like? If this is a wizard that's new to making homunculi, what are the V1s of that?
God, just like a whole bunch of little clay hands scrambling around on the freaking workshop table.
Yeah.
Right.
I imagine it kind of like a children's pottery class, just these like really deformed lumps of clay that like kind of look like something, but not quite.
Yeah.
Or the ones that had too much water in them, so they're kind of melty.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they can be really
Kyle.
gross. And
it's
so funny. You've seen the picture in the new monster manual, right? The one that looks like an axolotl. Like some of them are supposed to be cute, and then there's other ones that are clearly like, oh, that was a fucking bat, right? Like not cute, not adorable.
Yeah, I think it's gonna depend on the character that has it, right? Like if you've got a necromancer who's gonna have a homunculus, it's gonna look weird and kind of gross, and I don't know, maybe you have like a demonic kind of thing. But then if you have, I don't know, a divination wizard, it would probably just look like an eye with arms.
I like that so much that we're getting like outside of they've got the D8 table of like potential features, and it's like a similar to like a winged humanoid, or it's sprouting flowers and leaves, where it's like, no, it's a fucking eyeball with arms. Like, go fucking wild with it. Because you can with these, right? There's nothing stopping you.
Yeah.
Okay, so for stats, these are tiny neutral constructs with a CR of 0. They have 13 AC with a whopping 4 hit points, 20 feet of walking speed, 40 feet of flying, +2 to initiative. They have +2 to saves in Dex, Con, and Wisdom, as well as -3 to Strength. Although I think they should maybe share saves with their creator, right? Because it's made with their blood, but maybe it's just easier to calculate. They are immune.
Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense too, especially if they share like a con score. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Or like half of whatever the creator is, because they're not going to be as powerful. But they are immune to poison, both damage and the condition, and being charmed. They understand common and one other language, but cannot speak. Once again, I think it should reflect the creator's languages. It just makes more sense because they share a telepathic bond. So why wouldn't they be able to speak the same languages? Speaking of which, it has the telepathic bond trait, where if it is on the same plane of existence as the master, they can communicate telepathically. For actions, it gets a bite attack, which is a +4 to hit, deals 1 piercing damage, and forces a DC 12 Constitution saving throw, where on a fail, the target has the poison condition, and it gives it disadvantage on attacks and ability checks until the end of the homunculus's next turn. If the target fails this throw by 5 or more, the target gains the poisoned condition for 1 minute and falls unconscious for that time unless it takes damage.
I like that it's specifically damage, because a lot of times when you deal with poisons and like being knocked unconscious and stuff, like you can use an action to wake them up, but no, this is like you have to like really beat them in the face. You got to slap them for 1 point of damage to get them to react. That's refreshing to see.
Yeah, this thing is one good whack with a club and 2 to 3 punches away from being dead. And I like to think of them as being annoying, so it's good to know what you're working with there. 4 hit points.
Yeah.
Just remind me, what does the poison? I don't know why. I just imagine them to be a little bit annoying. You know, like I'm thinking barbarian, like 2 to 3 punches. Just remind me what the poisoned condition is. I forget what the effect is.
It is.
Yeah, the poison. I can tell you what it used to be in 5th ed. Do you know what the new updated version is, Kyle?
Disadvantage on attacks, attack rolls, and ability checks.
Same thing. So not saves and not like death saves or anything.
Right.
But I guess that would affect initiative as well, because it's an initiative check.
Is that considered an ability check?
Well, like
it's a dexterity check.
I know it's related to dexterity.
But is it anymore?
So I don't even know. I think it used to be initiative.
I've always considered it a check.
I've always considered it a check as well, because it's just 10 plus your dex modifier. But it's like concentration, right? Like you gotta figure out yourself. Is this going to be considered a check? Save? What are we doing?
Well, it's like competing checks.
Yeah. So let's jump for a minute into kind of how they've changed from the previous edition, because I love homunculi, but I feel like they really got depowered, and I can't figure out why. Because they used to be a lot more flavorful. First of all, the ingredients to make them were very specific before. It was a little bit of their creator's blood, some clay, ash, and a mandrake root. And that's what you needed. Those were the ingredients. Now, when you look at this D8 table of stuff they provided, like they can be made of soft metal and delicate gears, or woven and patchwork like a well-loved toy. Like it's just like a homunculus can be any doll or simple toy. And I don't love that. Like I want it to be very specifically this weird little golem-like thing, right? I don't want it to be some children's doll. Although I will absolutely use a homunculus stat block in place of a like living doll in my D&D campaign, so that's neat. I miss my strictly weird clay, homunculus. So also they're bigger.
For the
Oh,
sorry, I was just gonna say, for the create homunculus spell, it requires all those things plus a jewel encrusted dagger worth at least 1,000 gold.
Good, cool. I like that. That's what it should have. And
jewel encrusted dagger worth 1,000 gold. That's so specific.
I feel like that's like the ritualistic dagger, the very specific ritual dagger that you need to like cut your thumb open to use the blood from that in order to make your homunculus. Like, I feel like there's got to be weird magic in here, right? Like, Terry, you hit the nail on the head with that weirdness. I've always just had them as cute little critters, but I fucking love this arcane take on it.
That overly specific component, though, material component, that jewel encrusted dagger, seems to make it not worth doing to me. For a wizard who's got to go out and source one of those, maybe has to steal it from a noble or swindle it out of somebody or locate one, and all he gets is 4 hit points of like an annoying ugly bat.
Well,
it doesn't use the jewel encrusted dagger, right? Like you can do it again and again and again once you got it.
Right,
yeah.
Okay. That's fair. It doesn't consume it. Yeah. Okay.
And honestly, if I'm going to be a DM that's going to allow a player to have this, or the player's like, hey, I'd like to have a homunculus, I'd be like, all right, give it a couple sessions. And then they would slowly find things like mandrake root and this specific dagger. And then I'd be like, okay, and there's an arcane text. That would be the third thing that would show you how to use the clay, the ash, that's over in the corner of this little workshop, a mandrake root, which you picked up 3 rooms ago, and this special dagger in order to make homunculus. Like, I would slow roll the ingredients first and then let them do this, right? And also, if I'm going to give a pet or a familiar or something like that, I'm going to beef up the hit points. Like 4 hit points is dumb. So it's weird now that they're cat sized. So they got bigger, which means they're easier to hit. They used to be squirrel sized. And it used to be more than just this telepathic bond. As long as they were on the same plane, they used to be able to share thoughts and senses and language and knowledge. So you said, Kyle, you wish that, understood more languages. They used to know all the languages and all the knowledge that their creator had, right? So
yeah, that absolutely should be the way it is.
Yeah, I think so too. I think 5.5 just kind of neutered them a little bit for no particular reason, especially when it comes to the stats. When it comes to the stats, it used to be 2d4, which is an average of 5. Now is 1d4 plus 2, which is an average of 4, right? Like, I don't see the purpose in knocking it down by one hit point on average. That seems silly to me. Also, the constitution used to be a lot lower. It's higher now. And I got to come back to this sharing senses. They can communicate as long as they're on the same plane. That's what they get now. But they're not able to share a mind. Like, now they're more of a automaton. They seem to be more autonomous and they have some free will. They used to be more of an extra limb that a wizard would have, right? There used to be just more of this is an extension of my person, and now this is a pet. The poison DC is a little higher now, which will be good for commoners and tier 1 monsters, but after that it's pretty useless. I like that it lasts for 1 minute. Did you guys catch that there's no additional saves? It's not like on your next turn you can try again or any of that shit. Right. So no
immune for 24 hours.
Yeah, the thing about it is, like, it lasts till the end of the homunculus's next turn, or 1 minute if it fails by 5 or more. It used to be way more potent than that. It used to last for 1 minute with no additional saves, or 1d10 minutes if you failed by 5 or more. So this could take someone right out of a combat, right? Not just for a turn, but or for 10 rounds, but a homunculus in theory could take out a spellcaster from a boss fight. So they used to be just a little bit more save or suck, a little bit more deadly, right? And I miss that.
Did you say that it was a previous version that knew everything that the wizard knew, or that's the current version?
No, that's the 5th ed version, that they used to know everything that the creator knew. Now they don't. Now it only says that I'm going to read it directly. While the homunculus is on the same plane of existence as its master, the two of them can communicate telepathically with each other. So it's about communication. It's not about sharing a mind, right? You're not warging into it or understanding its senses or anything. That's what it used to be. Now it's just you can talk. Which makes it a fun little spy, but it also makes it far less potent and powerful, right?
Well, I just had a little bit of inspiration of, I was like, oh, if that's the case, then you could have a little side quest or a mission or something, which is capture the homunculus, but we need the wizard alive. So it's like, you got to get that, because the homunculus knows everything, the wizard knows, but then you got to get out. But then if it's not the way that it is anymore, then I can't do that.
Yeah. Although you can have it be just a little spy for the big bad evil guy. They run across the homunculus on the 3rd session of the campaign, adopt the cute little bugger, and protect it at all costs because it's a cute little creature thing, and everybody thinks it is so ugly it's cute, and then come to find out that it's been feeding information to the big bad evil guy about your party the entire time.
Definitely make them fall in love with him, and then make them realize the long-term betrayal and that they might have to kill him. I love this.
But yeah, that's all I have on the history of them. So
okay, all right, guys, let's move it into an open discussion here. I got a few rounds and a few different things we can hit. Let's roll initiative, and then I'm gonna throw these at you. Oh damn!
I got a 14.
Oh, I got 14 as well. We're gonna roll off.
I got a 12.
19.
Natural 20.
No way! I got a 19 and lost.
Oh, that is the third time in this entire podcast that it's been a 19 and 20, and it feels so shitty. And Terry, I think it's been you with the 19 every time.
Yeah, it's, back in my human fighter, my champion fighter days, this was not a problem. Alas. Okay, so you're going first, Adam. Okay, so we know where to find them. We know what they do. We know what they look like. We know how they act. What's a little plot hook you might have to include this monster or to find it?
One of the plot hooks. Okay, so I'm gonna break the mold in this a little, because I think you guys will probably have like how to discover one or how to use one that you're just discovering. But I had Dave's character was Kyle. Were you here for this? You sat in as a guest at my table for this. Dave's character, Dave wasn't able to be at a table one time. And so, but he was separated. It was supposed to be him and Dan and Kyle. They're supposed to meet Kyle's new character, who was going to bum around a jungle with them for a handful of sessions. But Dave's character passed out. They all get like teleported into the middle of the jungle. Dave's character passed out. And then Dan ran around like scrambling to get all their loot and put everything in the backpacks. He was a little overwhelmed. Then he met Kyle's character for the first time, and he's carrying Dave's character, and off they go into the wilderness. But he didn't look around for the homunculus pet, right? And so he didn't find Fwit. And so a couple of days in game later, they're sitting there taking watch, and Dan's character's passed out. And so Kyle's character is sitting there at this campfire taking watch overnight in the deep part of the jungle. And this weird little creature starts chirping at it. And like he looks up and sees Fwit, the homunculus, on the other side of the fire. But because they can't actually communicate, we ended up playing charades for a couple minutes there. Like Kyle, I was convinced you were going to kill the pet. I thought for sure. It was a lot of fun to have that disconnect, because I had a new player at the table who didn't understand what this creature was. And the look on Dan's face when he figured out that, oh God, this is the pet, and I'm asleep and I can't say anything. And it just kind of tormented him that he couldn't step up into this moment and help. That was a lot of fun.
Luckily, Elmore is a peaceful man.
Sorry, Elmore?
Yeah, this is his real name.
I don't think I ever knew that. We just
Scooter is just the nickname.
I did not know that.
That's how I introduced him. I said, well, my name's Elmore, but my friends call me Scooter.
Yeah, but if you remember, the moment you started making that, like, that was the introduction to your accent, and both of us, Dan and I, were crying laughing because it was so unexpected. I don't think we heard the words you said. I have a great uncle Elmore, so that's really funny.
That is weird. That's such an uncommon name. Kyle, you hard launch the accent. Once you hard launch the accent, you're committed.
Well, yeah. It was so
if
funny.
You can get it early. If you get it before session 3, you can change it real quick. Like you can just adjust it and nobody might notice.
It's so funny.
I don't know. I was committed to the whole bit.
You're always
whole backstory. Yeah.
You're always committed to the bit. But the funny thing is that you didn't know is that Dan had started off this character. He's playing a furbolg bard with a southern gentleman, like a I'm from Georgia kind of accent, but he's so bad at it that would waffle in and out, and everyone would make fun of him for his southern accent. And then Kyle comes in with the fucking bumpkin hillbilly over the top, and the two of them trying to do this, and Dan's struggling now to keep up with his accent. It was so funny. Anyway,
oh my god,
sorry, it took us on a bit of a walk there, but there we are.
All right, I'll bring it back. I'll swerve us back in here. I'll go second. My plot hook to find the monster. I'm gonna tell I'm going to tell DMs, this might be a bit on the nose. If you have new players, and I play with a lot of new players, first of all, because you can start them at low level and they're fine, everything is magical and wonderful to them. And second of all, because playing with seasoned players is difficult, because you motherfuckers come up with these ideas, these crafty things that I can't keep up with. So I feel like I'm a better DM for new people because they think I'm fucking Daniel Day-Lewis, right? But I can't keep up with you guys. So anyway, so what I would do is just something really on the nose. Just put them in an old library, put them in a wizard's workshop, just put it right there in front of them and let them decide what they want to do with it. But it doesn't need to just be that kind of the cute, ugly, cute thing. You can have it so that the homunculus does not want to interact with the party. Like, think old, cranky homunculus. It doesn't want anything to do with them. And then have them act like that way going forward. And then when you do it, when you make it slightly interesting in an unexpected way, you can have it be really on the nose, and it's still fascinating, I suppose.
I really like that. I love the library idea, because if you're at Candlekeep, for example, where there's dozens of scholars that are working there and wizards and whatnot that are deep in study, you'd think that every one of them would have a homunculus just as a servant to go get that scroll from the third level, because I'm busy reading, right? Like the whole library should be crawling in these things.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
Also, I imagine them like cleaning up after the wizards,
or just having
drink.
their own sort of, if there's that many of them, their own sort of like mini community, like in the rafters or something. If they're the ones flying the scrolls around and stuff.
Instead of birds.
Yeah, they're just kind of hanging out up there at the top, above all of above the high shelves of the library.
Oh yeah, and could you imagine, like, you're sitting there dealing with one of them, and then suddenly it just stops moving, like it's frozen in place like a sudden statue, and falls on its side, because the wizard 3 levels over just had a heart attack and died. And that's how you find out.
Oh my God. I wonder if the other homunculi react to that. Would they be sad if they come to know each other and love each other? See, guys, you can have communities everywhere.
Could you imagine 40 of these little guys having a wake?
They do something. They'd be lined up on the rafters. They do something. Maybe they'd sing the song of their people. We don't know. Okay, Kyle, plot hook to find this monster.
Okay, so I think these are really, like, I don't know if I'd ever use it as a direct plot hook kind of thing. I think these add a lot of color to whatever's going on. I actually think I came up with this idea for a previous episode, but I know in the older editions for the homunculus, they couldn't speak. They could only understand, right? And so I like the idea of having to do charades with the party, right? Like a wizard's gone missing and you're looking for them, but the homunculus is still there. And this wizard has sent the homunculus out to find help. Like, I just imagine him using it like Lassie, right? Like, go boy, Timmy fell down the well kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And so trying to get lure the party with this thing, and trying to, I think it could be really fun to try to communicate a whole plot point without using anything verbal, right? Like, you get the party to guess. It's its own little puzzle.
Yeah.
Anytime that there's an intelligent creature that you cannot speak with is an opportunity for role playing. And these guys they've got this poison shit going on with their bite, but they're largely non-threatening, and you could stomp on one pretty easily by like level 6, one hit kill, right? Even at like level 1 hit with a great axe is going to murder one of these things, right? So this is not a threat that the party's going to immediately think like, oh God, we need to kill it. And then you as a dungeon master, like, okay, how am I going to talk them into role playing and communicating with this thing? No, this thing pops up and comes to you all worried and shit. People will stop and listen. Like, this is actually a really good plot hook for that kind of miscommunication.
I think it also depends on what form it takes, right? Like, if it comes up to you looking like a cat or some innocuous kind of animal, right? You're going to get a less hostile response from the party. Maybe if you make it look gross, like it's got too much water in it and it's like leaving a trail of slime behind it, the party might attack it. But if you make it cutesy, chances are you're going to open up a chance to role play.
Yeah. And I'm going to segue with that role play, and that brings me into thinking more about their mannerisms and their eclectic behaviors. And I've got about 3 or 4 different ways that I see this. So I'll move to this next. Who rolled highest? I think Adam. Mannerisms, eclectic behaviors.
So the thing about them is they have a fly speed of 40 feet, which Kyle mentioned before, right? But they can walk 20 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to fly, right? They are fast when they fly, and there's no reason why they wouldn't be flying, right? So I think that as much as I love the idea of one of these things walking across a table carrying something heavy or skittering along like a squirrel, like Fwit often does in our campaign, or perching on a shoulder, 9 times out of 10, these guys are going to be moving. They're going to be airborne, and they're going to be flittering around the party quite a bit. It's going to be a lot of movement from a very little active member of your party, like a little secondary member. Or when you are expecting to see the sprite or the pixie or whatever it is, it's flying towards you, or the hell, the will-o-wisp, right? But it's actually a homunculus coming with a little lantern. Like, you can kind of play on the fact that I don't think your party will necessarily be expecting them to fly. And especially for older DMs, you got to choose, I think in previous editions, you got to choose the form of your homunculus, and it was just like up to 6 limbs. You could have 6 legs, or 2 legs and 4 arms, or 2 sets of wings, but no hands, right? Like, you really got to customize a homunculus. Now, that I'm remembering from 20 years ago, so that might have been a homebrew thing, but I don't see why we couldn't be that level of weird again. But whatever it is, you need to focus on, anytime with a monster, if it has one speed that is faster than the others, that is the primary method of movement, right? That will be their preferred way to move around, especially a battlefield when tensions are high.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I love it. I love focusing on how you can make them a little strange on the physical side. So I'm going to switch direction now. I'm going to talk more about the personalities, because I think this is an opportunity to have, it's certainly a companion to the creator, whoever the creator it is, and whoever the creator is, and if the party wants to adopt it, that's fine. But the best way to play with this is with personality. And I imagine it says that they can't speak. That's fine, but I would still give them some sort of verbal attempt at communication. And it might come off a little bit sort of Disney, of a creature where you don't know the exact words they're saying, but you get their sentiment. And, you could play this thing like Zazu off The Lion King, the Rowan Atkinson version, or you can do it like kind of creature from Harry Potter, or, what's the relationship like with the creator? Do they get on? Is it a loving relationship? Is there resentment there? Do they kind of bicker with each other like a sort of an old married couple? And I think you should think about that, but make it a little bit more on the kind of not extreme side, but certainly inflated, because they can't speak. You need to build their personality up in different ways.
Can I just say really quickly that my knee-jerk reaction with these guys, leaning into exactly what you're saying, my knee-jerk reaction is to make their personality immediately Stitch from Lilo and Stitch.
Right, and that's it. But I'm trying to think beyond that,
Yeah.
Right, because it's kind of like, but you know what? It might work. But it depends who's around your table. Sometimes you might go, Stitch is exactly what these people want.
It's because I think the art looks a little bit like them, right? Like, that's where my brain went. And also the weird number of limbs. And so, like, anyway, I love the idea of getting beyond that. I think I got hung up on Stitch, and at least in this current campaign I'm in.
Yeah. Cool. Kyle?
I like the idea of making them a reflection of their creator, right? I think it should share some of the personality types. And once again, this is where I think I would have one of these for color, right? Like, I like the idea of having one as kind of an Igor-like character, that's do it around just assisting the master. Like, they kind of do things. They're like, like another limb for their master, right? Like, they don't even have to consciously command them. It just sort of happens. I also like the idea of like treating it like a cat, like it gets into things that it shouldn't sometimes. Like, it has a little bit of curiosity to it.
It always sits at the foot of the bed and watches you get intimate with your girlfriend. Is that?
Oh, God. So, Tony. Yeah.
My mind went dark there. Okay, so yeah, also I like the idea, I'm just spitballing here, but I like the idea of like a guy who creates like a super clumsy one, and when you're talking to him, he's like, "Oh yeah, sorry, I was drunk when I made it." So, like half the blood in there is alcohol.
And like one of the legs is shorter than the other. It's got a fucking weird limp. That's what's so fucking funny.
Homunculus alcohol syndrome.
That's called homunculol.
God.
Right, just I think they can make great comic relief, and just kind of add a little bit more depth to characters that have them.
Yeah,
they feel a little more personal than familiar, right? And so, I think there's a lot of fun things you could do with it.
All right. Let's do one more round of this because I want to focus on the loot. I threw a few kind of rough ideas out, but they gotta have something, right? They're wizards' companions, guys. So what kind of loot would they drop, Adam?
Okay, so I've been kind of dicking around with some of the partnered content on D&D Beyond, kind of just looking at as we have this new edition and all these different rules and shit that have come out, even though it's the same edition, but whatever. It's a new rule set. I went and I looked back through some of the stuff that was released. And I was looking at the Teldore campaign setting, Reborn, that's on D&D Beyond, and they've got a blood-based cleric for a subclass and like a blood-based wizard. So I'm thinking about blood magic. If you can capture a homunculus that belongs to someone else, you have access to their blood, even if it's, dried or used up in the component. So you should be able to have some sort of base control over them. I would imagine that if the bad guy can steal your homunculus, you're going to be able to make a new one. It's going to be a pain in the ass. Everyone's going to be sad for a little bit. But now he's going to have advantage against you when it comes to dominate person or power word stun or something. Like he's going to have an increased ability to control you because he has distilled or he has removed the blood from this clay creature. And I think that that's the scariest thing about the loot here is when one of them dies, you almost need to throw it in the fire and let all the blood burn away, because otherwise you have clearly a powerful arcane mage. Their blood is sitting here in this sudden statue because they go inert, right? So that's the number one thing is if I manage to kill the creator, I now have a little bit of their blood. Is that enough to do some weird necromancy? Are there some spells that I can cast now? Is it enough for me to bring them back from the dead? If I've got like true resurrection, right? Might be the homunculus might be the key to control or resurrection or communication, life like to the beyond and whatnot. I'm just looking at that blood as being so low key important as a plot hook, right?
Like that.
Adam, that is so dark. And you're talking about blood magic. And I was going to be like, yeah, they would like carry spell components for like the backups for like the wizard. Like I imagine them in the combat being accessible to the wizard and like replenishing consumed spell components on the battlefield. So that, I don't know, maybe they carry the diamond so that if something's going wrong, they can fly away. They can get the diamond, the valuables out of there. And then I also like clues to something later. Or just, do you know what I like actually? They should have a scroll tied around their leg, and then this is like a plot hook. And then when they open the scroll, it says, if lost, please return to whoever the wizard at whatever address Trollskull wanted you. And it's like, they're going to fucking go there. If they're in town, they're going to go there.
It's so funny. We attack this from such different perspectives. I was like, it's a cute squirrel. You're like, no, it's weird and gross. And now I'm over here. You're sitting here making it, the little keeper of trinkets. And I'm like,
yeah.
The vampire picks it up, licks it and goes, yeah. Tastes like Bradley. Yes, I have a taste for you now.
Kyle.
Childlike crayon drawings, like stick figures, and it just says like me and master underneath.
Oh, and then,
right? And like hearts, and there's a sun.
Relationship, right? Maybe the pictures that the homunculus is drawing is like the wizard's mad, the homunculus is sad.
Yeah. No, seriously though, my thinking was along the same lines as Adam's. I think the blood magic would be the most important thing to it. I can't, it's not that big, so I can't imagine it carrying much or really anything of vast importance unless there is like in the only thing I can think of is like a last minute magic item, you know, like a wand or that like teleports them out of there, or I don't know, so like plane shift or something
Or
like
blows up.
that they only use, yeah, or something that blows up, right? You could use it like a grenade, the homunculus.
Yeah, you create
Right.
a servant. You create a servant whose sole purpose is to blow up if
Oh,
you're losing.
or some kind of magic item that the homunculus could use to turn it into something serious, right? Like it goes from a homunculus to a clay golem by using this magic item. Maybe it has a potion on it that fucking ramps it up. So you at the beginning you might think, well, who gives a shit about this little homunculus? It's not going to really do much, or it's just hanging out at the back. It all of a sudden disappears, and you might see it behind you, and then all of a sudden it's not a homunculus anymore. It's this giant fucking thing, unless you kill it quickly.
Yeah.
I love the idea of like on 3 consecutive turns. It's a tiny construct, right? So on 3 consecutive turns, it hits one of the 3 runes across its chest. All the runes are identical, and each one is enlarge spell. So it just goes small, medium, large, and it's ready to fuck you up, right? And now you're
Like a
using a clay
Pokemon.
golem.
Yeah, exactly like that. Like that's, I think that's the kind of thing it would have on it.
Right. All right, guys. Okay, with that, I'm going to bring us into the last round of questions from me, but I need us to roll initiative one more time. I got an 8.
9.
Old school. I like it. I can hear it.
I used all my luck. I rolled a 4.
All right, Kyle. Overall, how do you feel about the updated version of the homunculus compared to the original 5th edition version?
I mean, I like the original more. Also, I mean, maybe it'll come out in future books, but right now they don't have like a create homunculus spell or option for players, right? Like I think half the fun of this is getting it for a player. So I'd like to see that. Other than that, it's all right. But I like the previous editions more. I like being able to, when you could cast spells through them as well, on top of the telepathic bond.
Yeah, I feel like the previous edition had more to play with, more to do with it, more options to make them cheeky, more options to make them useful. I think this has been the first thing so far in the new edition that I haven't been totally on board with.
Yeah, but there's nothing stopping you from, quadrupling the hit points and leaving the rest of it as is, right? Or crafting one of the hands to be in the shape of a dagger. So now it can also have a stab thing, right? Like the thing is, they're supposed to be kind of customizable. So fucking go nuts, right? Use 4 times the components and make the ritual last 10 times as long, and bang, you made a small one instead of a tiny one, right? Like you should be able to play with this to some degree. Like it's kind of built into the lore that this should be messed with by wizards, right?
Yeah. Oh, if you had a wizard that had a bunch of them and then they connected together like Voltron.
That is amazing.
Sure. Kyle, are you likely to use this version of the homunculus as a DM in the future?
Yeah. I got nothing against it. I have nothing in the works right now, but I definitely could see some fun with it.
Yeah, I'm just prepping that maybe in the fall I might do Dragon Heist, and I think I can throw this in somewhere. Just have it pop up. There you go. There's something to play with. Maybe you'll kill it, maybe you won't, but I can make that work for sure. So I'll probably use it pretty soon.
I mean, I'm actively using one now, but I will continue to mess with this and make this. I think I'm gonna give Fwit a little bit more of a spotlight the next time that I can hammer Dave down for more than 3 sessions at a time. We're coming into camping season, and after that is hunting season. So by February, I'm sure it'll be fine, and I can actually play with this.
Awesome. Do you guys have any final thoughts before we wrap it up? Anything burning inside of you about homunculi that you feel the world needs to know before we leave them?
No, I think I covered my thoughts.
We covered it. We covered everything. Amazing.
I do want to say, coming at it from different perspectives, like just having this conversation alone, just the 3 of us here having these talks, this creature is more versatile than I was giving it credit for. Like, I know there's a bunch of different pictures of it in the monster manual that make it like, oh, you can do all sorts of different things, but they're really just the same, like different versions of the same thing, right? Kind of like the movie Gremlins. Like all the Gremlins are different, but they're all the same thing, right? But no, you can get really, really specific and quite varied with the different kind of homunculi. The other thing we didn't really touch on is the fact that there's nothing stopping any mage from having more than one of these, right? So given enough time and enough blood and that one dagger, you should be able to have a little fucking army of these guys. And suddenly that bite condition, this might be how I swarm my players with 100 homunculi to get them all unconscious for 1 full minute, right? And now I can capture them, right? Just, they thought they were going to fight a golem, and the golem reverse Voltrons and becomes 100 homunculi, right?
Oh man, I imagine him playing that like the barbarian steps up with their great axe and just takes a swing, and then this thing splits apart like you hit a spider sack.
Yeah.
I want to thank you guys once again for joining us for another episode of the It's a Mimic podcast. If you like to support us, we do have a Patreon where you can get Patreon exclusive episodes as well as join our lovely Discord. And can't wait to see you guys again.
That's all for this Monster Mastery episode of the It's a Mimic podcast. This episode and others can also be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and most other podcast apps. Please take a second to engage with a like, follow, subscribe, comment, or review to help us push our engagement. Thanks for listening to the It's a Mimic podcast, where you never know what you're going to get.
So, for the last couple of weeks, we've been discussing smaller creatures on the public channels, and patrons of the appropriate tier are going to hear how that conversation keeps going on Thursday. You see, Season 2 of the Homebrew series is launching, and it's no longer me rambling away about my own homebrew campaign. Instead, Kyle is taking turns sitting down with each host to talk about inspirations and ideas they have for homebrewing a few different aspects of D&D. It's theory crafting, fixing broken or nonsensical details, adding new ideas for mechanics or lore, or just adding interesting new use cases for existing facets of Dungeons & Dragons. So this week, Kyle and I start the series off by talking about smaller creatures and a couple of other random thoughts we have. Then on Friday, everyone is going to be treated to another Platinum Great Worm episode, but this time it's going to be a little different. It's going to focus on a specific Pathfinder one-shot called A Fistful of Flowers. Scott was insane enough to run a one-shot for the other Great Worm patrons and myself, where we were all playing Leshies, which are Pathfinder's small-sized sapient plant people. It was a lot of fun, it was a lot of chaos, and there was a multi-level marketing campaign involved as well. There's a lot going on, so make sure you check that episode out on Friday. And while you're all listening to those episodes, I'll be sitting down with a number of other hosts to prep, plan, and record a special Halloween treat for October. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I'm too excited not to give a little teaser. I just know it's hopefully going to be terrifying, and it's definitely going to be fun. Alright, it's the end of a monster episode, so that means it's time to look back into the history of D&D and see what other inspirations might be collecting dust. Today, we're heading back into 4th edition to look at homunculi. There were a couple of interesting things to note when looking back at the homunculi, not the least of which is the fact that there used to be 3 different versions, and we still have those 3 versions as far as 5th ed goes. They're just not in the monster manual, and they're not all homunculi anymore. So the first one I want to point out is the Clay Scout, which is the one that we have now. It's just a little bit more gargoyle-y. They're small creatures, and they're actually like a level 2, which is our version of CR2. They just called it levels back then, instead of our CR0. They were less about being little helpers and more about being guards. As a matter of fact, the very first sentence in the 4th edition monster manual for homunculi says, "Homunculi are minor constructs created to guard specific places, objects, or beings." So that was their original purpose, and the Clay Scout has a couple of interesting things going on for it that we no longer have for our homunculus. The most important one is the fact that they used to have a ranged psychic attack that if they did damage, if it hits, then there would be a dazed condition, which is, I mean, I guess you could call that stunned for our purposes now in 5.5. But also, if a character became stunned or dazed, they could no longer see the homunculus. They had limited invisibility, which was really flavorful, really interesting for getting around, hiding, and getting in like sneak attacks and things like that. 4th edition was far more tactical. The other things, though, that show up here are the Iron Defender and the Iron Cobra. These might stand out to you. They may ring a bell and you say, hey, where do I know that from in D&D? Because it's not in the Monster Manual, neither 5th edition or the new 2025 version. So, the Iron Defender is actually listed under Homunculi in Eberron Rising from the Last War. And it's kind of in the same vein as the Steel Defender that the Artificer gets. There's an extra homunculus even in there called the Expeditious Messenger, which is a tiny construct, and it has its own rules. Eberron fans will probably be familiar with this already. But as for the Iron Cobra is available in, or was available in Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. You would also run into one in Ghosts of Saltmarsh and the online publication Return to Glory. Now, Tome of Foes is no longer available, but you can still find essentially the same thing in Mordenkainen Presents the Monsters of the Multiverse. However, now it's called the Clockwork Iron Golem. What's crazy, though, is that the Iron Defender is CR1 in the most recent publication, but they used to be CR3. And the Iron Cobra is now CR4, but it used to be CR6. They used to hit a whole lot harder. When we think about the way that we use homunculi, we should also realize there are other constructs out there that could do very similar things, like guard, pass messages, or be a helper, but they may have more specific or narrower use cases, and we may be able to beef them up to be a little bit hardier. So, now that I've dug up these details for you, I gotta ask, how are you gonna make your homunculi more memorable? If you'd like to support us, we have a store with some merch and a donate button on our website, itsamimic.com. You can also head to itsamimic.com to find a comprehensive episode guide and more information about the show. We do have a Patreon, which not only offers access to our exclusive Discord server, but also hosts over 100 episodes, including a variety of bonus episodes covering topics like 5th edition book reviews and the campaign builder, spells and gods, fae, homebrew inspiration, and even the Blood War. If you'd like to submit any mailbag questions, please reach out to us through any of the social media links in the show notes of this episode, or send us an email at info@itsamimic.com. This has been an episode of It's a Mimic, where you never know what you're going to get.